Hello, and welcome to this course. This is Step 1. I'm your 12-step practitioner, and I'll be taking you through the steps that I've used to help me stay sober, stay sound, and be in the right frame of mind. So in Step 1, we admit that we are powerless over the addiction, the affliction, or whatever it is causing us to feel unbalanced in our lives. We understand that these things, whatever they may be, are causing us to be unmanageable. We have a hard time adapting to whatever is going on, and we use whatever this thing may be: alcohol, food, sex, gambling, sugar, speeding, gambling, all these different things. And we're using these as a crutch because we just don't understand this underlying thing that is causing us to act out the way that we do. So in order for us to understand the first step, which is, an admission to whatever this thing is that is causing us this discomfort in our lives, we need to have some self-compassion first. We need to be compassionate. We need to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. A lot of the times, a person who's dealing with addiction can treat everybody out in the world properly, but they have a really hard time being soft on themselves or being compassionate with themselves. So remember, when we're going through these particular things and we're going through these new emotions that we're trying to solve, we need to be compassionate to ourselves, just like we'd be compassionate to all the other people around us that seem to have issues or problems. So we don't want to talk ourselves down. We don't want to put ourselves in this feeling of guilt and shame when we're in these early stages. Another great step when we're exploring Step 1 is we want to learn from others. Listening to the stories and experiences of other people who have been going through a similar situation as the one that we're trying to solve is a great thing to do. Why? Is because we're going to be able to relate to other people's stories. We're going to be able to see patterns that are happening in our own lives. And we're also going to get some confidence knowing that these people that have gone through these situations and have found success, well, this is in our sight too. We can achieve these things. We can have the same happiness and joy and the overcoming of the addiction or the thing that is bothering us inside. Documenting our stories, writing down our personal stories, writing down at the end of the day our highlights and low points is a great way to not only look over things that we've done in a particular day, but it also gives us the ability to kind of see our progression as these days go by. Because in the beginning, just like anything that we do, it's going to start off, there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be trials, but as we continually go, we'll just start to see that these steps become a lot easier, and the way that we deal with things in a day-to-day become easier as well. Seeking professional help. Now, this may be something that a lot of people are already doing, but if you're feeling that there is still things missing, you're working with a sponsor or a sharing partner that's bringing you through the steps, and you're still feeling that you're not getting all of that, of course, looking for professional help or other settings if the meetings that you're going to aren't fulfilling the rounding out, or maybe some of the things that you're thinking about are not being able to be expressed in the type of meetings that you're going to. Seeking a professional help that you can talk one-on-one is definitely a great thing to do if you have the means to do it. Consider, of course, medical advice or, more treatment or different types of treatment if necessary. Now, identifying triggers, like what causes you to go back out, so to speak? What causes you to maybe go out and look for a drink, or to go out and gamble, or to have another cigarette, or to, what is it that is triggering you in order to look for these particular devices and use those as, particular types of coping mechanisms, right? And there's one thing here that really should be clear too, is that like not everything that would be deemed as a addiction, so to speak, is going to be an addiction for someone else, right? There's going to be people who, all over the world will, go to a casino. They will have, say $100 spending limit. They spend, $30, $40. They're not having a good time and they just stop. And then there's going to be another type of person who, is totally like, it doesn't matter how much money they had or how little money they would just spend it all. And that's a really important thing that we need to differentiate when we are dealing with our own, affliction in life, is that not everybody has the same affliction, but we can still use the 12 steps in order to balance out our lives, right? But for the most part, in this particular part here, we're talking about what are the things that trigger us, right? Is it a conversation with a particular type of person? Is it a time of day? And marking these down so that you can actually go back later on and not put yourself in that type of situation where it might be something that will trigger you in order to do the thing that you're, trying to stop doing. We want to understand these patterns as well. We want to be able to break these things down. We want to be able to identify that these things exist. And when they do pop up, we also want to be able to retract them. Developing coping strategies. So finding healthy and positive ways that we can cope with the cravings that we have, or, the triggers that cause us to want to, do the thing that we do, right? Early on, a lot of things are like, okay, well, I feel like having a cigarette. I'm trying to quit smoking. Well, go out for a walk, right? You are, drinking too much. You want to quit drinking. Instead of, the beer that you would normally go to, maybe you have a coffee, maybe you have, a pop. All these things are great deterrents. There are always things that, you might want to, of course, not drink a lot of pop because it's not good for you, but it's a lot better than drinking the alcohol, right? Or, if you found that you're eating too much and you want to cut down your eating, what could you, if you're having a craving for, say, like, chips or whatever the case may be, I'm just throwing arbitrary things out, and then you supplement that with, that's something that is a treat, but is a healthier choice, right? And we learn and practice these new behaviors that support sobriety, right? Remember that we're trying, a sober mind is a mind that is not connected to the thing that takes us away from being us. And that's the real message of being a sober-minded person, is that these exterior things that we use as crutches to either take us away from the problems that we have, or to remove us from a mental thought that we have, or just a compulsive action that we have, that is what a sober mind is, right? Like I know people who are very casual drinkers. They will have a glass of wine with dinner, but they're not going out and drinking a whole bottle and not showing up to work, right? So always keep these things in mind when you're trying to rope in all these different things. There's a certain problem and you know what it is. You know what it is inside. No one needs to tell you what this particular thing is. You already know it, and that is what you're trying to detract yourself from. Cultivating a positive environment. I mean, if you have a very balanced and environment that you're currently living in, a lot of this stuff is going to be easier to execute. But it doesn't mean that this can't be executed, because if you are at your bottom point where this addiction or affliction or compulsive behavior that you have has really, as in step one says, has made your life unmanageable, you don't want this thing anymore. You want it totally removed from you. That's why you're listening to this video. That's why you're taking this course. But you know what it is inside. So what is this positive environment? Have you ever had a sense of being where you felt happy, you felt relaxed? Well, this is the type of environment that you're going to want to create for yourself, and especially in these early stages. If you're really serious about living in step one, you need to create this environment. You need to create this foundation for yourself, because as you are constantly going through and putting a day's worth of work in, you're going to be running into old friends, colleagues at work, family members, whatever your living situation is, husbands, wives, partners, whatever the case may be, children, all these different things in the different situations may cause you to want to go back to the life that you had before. A spiritual foundation. This is one of the most important parts, and personally for myself, I don't think that I would be able to be doing this particular video right now if it wasn't for the spiritual foundation that was laid. But we all must find a power that is greater than ourselves. Whatever this power is, that is totally up to you. Some people will use God, some people will use Buddha, some people will use, nature, some people will use, there's a multiple of different things that you can define as a higher power. But as long as this power is greater than yourself, then that's a start. Developing a sense of connection with something greater and using that power when you feel that your physical self doesn't have any. Patience and perseverance. You need to understand, or we need to understand, I needed to understand that this recovery is a process that takes time and effort, right? Don't think of what your life is going to be a month from now, or thinking that you have to stop this thing for, 2-3 years. You only need to stop for today. That is it. You only need to stop for today. Whatever is your affliction, whatever is causing you this emotional distress, whatever is causing you, as in step one says, that our lives have become unmanageable. Whatever it is that's causing your life to be unmanageable, just stop for today. And if you feel that today is actually too long enough, then make it shorter. Maybe it's half a day. Maybe it's quarter of a day. Maybe it's just a few hours. Maybe it's only an hour. Maybe it's just half an hour. Whatever it is, but try to create like an actual, goal of what it is that you're trying to achieve. And a day is perfect. Just try for one day and see how it goes. So let's understand that recovery is a process that takes time and effort. We also want to be patient with ourselves and persevering even when we're faced with challenges. So say that you're going through this thing and halfway through the day, you've made it, and then later in the afternoon, you fell into a craving. Well, take the win of that half day and build on that. And on the next day, try to make it longer than half a day. And as you keep on going through these particular, growth, challenges, but there's wins in there too. And make sure that you're taking into consideration that these wins are a big part of the recovery process. Gratitude. Practicing gratitude for the positive aspects of life. Every day you should make it your goal to find something that is positive And there are going to be days that are definitely challenging. And there's going to be days that you're going to, say the wrong thing, or that you're going to get, mad at a sibling, a partner, your children. But always remember that you are constantly moving forward, and to look for the things that you can be grateful for, right? Every day that we have on this earth, and every day that we have is another opportunity for us to see that there is things to be grateful for. So practicing the first step involves a comprehensive approach that includes self-reflection. We need to look internally and find and be honest with ourselves. What is that one thing that is causing our life to be unmanageable? We need to seek support and to create support around us, joining, meetings that are around the, affliction or the issue that we're trying to solve. We also need to remove those old habits that are causing our lives to be unmanageable and put in new habits that make our lives manageable. And we need to foster a positive environment and a mindset. And at the end of the day, this is a whole mental shift when you start living this new lifestyle. So thank you for watching this first video. I'm your 12-step practitioner, and I'll see you next time.